Okay, here is class exercise question 4. I've done question 1 as well, but if you want to have a shot at 2 and 3, but remember, do make sure you try these before you just watch what I do, so you've got an idea of the direction you're taking, and you're not simply just copying what I'm doing. All right, so let's see what we've got here. So we've got I see a p squared here. Well, that's going to be an x here. A p to the 4, well, that's going to be p squared times p squared. So that must be an x to the 2, x squared. So now we can just quickly restate this. Now, I'll draw it over the page a bit so I can see with this one. I'm going to need a little more room, I think. So this is going to be, this implies that 8x squared minus 2x minus 3 is equal to 0. So let's tease this one out. Looks like we're going to have, the a value does not equal 1. So we're going to have to use a different method. So I'm going to use the division method. I could use the deconstruction method, but I won't do that. So 8 3's 24. We're looking for, so I'll put 8x here and 8x here. Signs are going to be different. So one's a plus and one's a minus. And the biggest number is going to be a negative. What numbers are going to add to 2? Well, 8 3's are 24. That would be 6 and 4. It added and subtracted in various ways would give a 2 of some sort. So 6 and 4, the biggest one's going to be negative, so 6 goes here, 4 goes over here, and so we can say that either, I could do that, but why don't I just divide it out first? So I'll just stop that there. I'm going to divide this by 4, divide this by 2. So that would imply that this goes into that 2x plus 1 times, there we are, and this goes into this thing here. 2 would be 4x, that is, minus 3 is equal to 0. All right, so that means that either, now I can do my either, sorry about that, 2x plus 1 is going to equal 0, or I'll just solve this one out first. So if I subtract 1 from both sides, so 2x is equal to minus 1, divide both sides by 2, I'm left with x equals negative 1/2. So that's the first one I'm going to try. I can say, or I got 4x minus 3 is equal to 0. So I'm going to add 3 to both sides. So 4x is equal to 3. Divide both sides by 4. And I've got x is equal to 3 over 4, 3/4. But of course, it's not x we want to say equals 3/4, is it? What we're really wanting to say is that p squared equals those things. So let's have a look at this one here. So if I was to say p squared is equal to negative 1/2, well, it can't be equal to negative 1/2 because there's no power that I can put p to and square it that's going to equal negative 1/2 in any way at all. So that's in itself is not really going to work out. Or, really, p squared is equal to, what have we got here, 3/4. Well, that works out well. So let's see if we can do that one. Well, so I can't find the square root of the negative 1/2, I can take the power off there, make that a square root there, put a plus or minus in front of it, and so p equals plus or minus 3 over 4. And in fact, I can actually just make my life a little bit easier by saying, well, I don't know the square root of 3, so I put the square root of 3, but I do know the square root of 4, which is 2. So p is equal to plus or minus root 3 on 2. So we know this one is a possible solution. Let's try that one now. All right, so here we go. So I'll restate the question. So this time I'm going to try p is equal to plus or minus root 3 on 2. And in a moment, I can see already why the plus or minus is not going to matter. And the reason is because it's to the power of 4 and to the power of 2, which means it's going, if I square this, even if it was negative, it would become positive. And to the power of 4 is just squaring it twice. So if I made this negative, it would still come out positive. So I'm not going to concern myself with the plus or minus because the answer will always be positive. All right, so let's see how this plays out. So I've got 8 p to the 4 minus 2 p to the 2 minus 3 is equal to 0. And I'm putting this thing here into that value there and this value over here. So let's see what happens when I do that. So I've got 8 times root 3 on 2 to the 4 minus 2 and negative root 3, sorry, or negative or positive root 3, doesn't really matter, on 2 squared minus 3 is equal to 0. So let's see what happens now. So 3 to the power of 4, well root 3 squared is 3, and 3 times 3 is 9. So this is going to be 8 times 9, and I've got 2 to the power of 4. Well, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is going to be 16. Minus, and I've got the same thing over here. Root 3 squared is going to be 3, so it's going to be 2 times 3, and 2 squared is going to be 4. Again, all minus 3 is equal to 0. Does that work? Well, I can divide this by 2. I'll divide that by 8, and I'm going to divide this by 8, leaving me with 2. So I've got 9 on 2 minus, well, I could divide this by 2, and I can divide this by 2, leaving me with 2. So I've got 3 on 2 minus 3 is equal to 0. Well, 9 minus 3 is 6. And 6 divided by 2, so I've got 6 over 2, which is 3. That implies that. 6 over 2, which is 3, minus 3 equals 0. It works. So therefore we can say that P equals, in this case, I'm just going to write root 3 on 2, and I'll put is a solution.